welcome back. So today's video is going to be an eye tutorial on the other eye. I already finished one eye using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina Eyeshadow palette. I purchased mine from Sephora for $42 and then I got 20% off during the VIB sale. But this is the palette. It is that same velvety packaging as the Modern Renaissance palette. If you have that, it's the same size, same price. The Modern Renaissance has more like berry, not berry, red tones, pinkies and like purples. And then this Norvina palette, I think, is more diverse in that it has some warm, like mustardy, orangey colors, but it also has some pretty rosy shades too. So this one to me is more wearable, more everyday appropriate for most women. It has some light, it has some dark. To me, you can get a full face using this one, or full eye look using this one. And other palettes, sometimes I feel like I have to reach for different shades for my collection to complete the look. Like, oh, it's missing a brow bone shade, or oh, it's missing a transition shade. This one has everything I need to do a dramatic look, a daytime look, lots of different looks I can do with it. So $3 a shadow for 14 bucks for three. $42 for 14 shadows, $3 a piece, just to kind of give you an idea. I really like this, and let's go ahead and jump in. I've already done the rest of my face. I used the Sephora Lip Stories lipstick in the shade number 3, O-U-I, and it's just like a nudie pink, and I primed my eyes with my MAC paint pot in Soft Ochre. Alright, I've zoomed you in nice and close so that you can see what we're working with today. First, I'm going to start with the Norvina palette shade called Eccentric. And that is this like orangey tan shade here. And I'm going to use a fluffy blending brush. This is the Jessup small tapered blending brush. But there are so many different brands on the market that make something like this. This is going to be a great transition shade for those of you with medium to deep skin. I think if you have really light skin, you may find this too dark for you. But as you can see, it's like a good crease shade, very orangey brown. But I'm going to put it in the crease all the way across, and then I'm also going to carry it up, back and forth, carry it up just a little bit higher than, because I want it to poke out from behind the shadows that I apply. So you can see like I have like a purpley brown, but then this kind of like is like a sunset like shade up in the background. So I'm going to keep that brush out, but that's all I'm going to use it for now. I'm going to use it for blending and adding more later. Then I'm just using a standard eyeshadow brush. I think this one's Crown C459, that's what it says. I'm using the shade called Base, which is exactly what you would think. It's a vanilla matte shade. That one was matte as well, Eccentric. I'm using that underneath the brow bone, and I'm also taming down the edges of that orangey shade. Like just kind of lightly going back and forth on top of the edges between the two shades and kind of toning it down just a little bit. And then I'm taking Base and I'm putting that on the inner corner of the eye and a little bit onto the lid as well. And that's just kind of blending everything together. No harsh lines. And then I'm going into the shade called Dreamer, which is right above Base, and it is that shimmery white. It's like its twin as far as shade goes, but this one is like a diamondy metallic-y finish rather than matte. And then I'm just putting that with that same brush right on the inner corner. As you can see on the eye that's finished, it's subtle, but it just opens up the eyes and makes the eyes look farther apart, brings some light and dimension in that area. So that's all I'm going to use this brush for. You could totally use a different brush for the, like if you don't have 10 different brushes for an eye look. But next I'm using the same brush. This is the Crown brand oval shadow brush. So it's pretty much the same shape. And then I'm using the shades called Rose Gold and Dazzling mixed together on the lid. So Rose Gold and Dazzling are basically like a rose gold metallic and a bronzy golden metallic. They are Dazzling and Rose Gold. It's upside down because the mirror will blind you if I do it the other way. So I'm using a dry brush with those shades on the lid, but then I want to show you the difference between dry and wet. So here is dry brush, It looks fine. You know, I just tapped that on the lid. It's fine. I'm going to load up my brush again, but this time I'm going to spray it with the NYX Dewy Finish Setting Spray. You could totally use like $1 setting spray. Don't use your like expensive stuff. Don't use your Urban Decay. It's a waste of it. But basically you just want to wet the brush. You can also use eye drops, I've heard, but I've never done that. So watch the difference from just a dry brush to a wet brush. You ready? It really takes it up a notch. It gives you that foiled wet look that I think is really pretty. So that is the difference between wet and dry. If you have never tried it, give it a shot. One time that I find is like the best time to play with makeup is right at the end of the day when you're about to wash your face. Play, wash it off, risk-free, you know? Okay, now I'm using the shade called Drama. No, now I'm using the shade called Passion with a little bit of Volatile. And those are a deep brown, berry almost, and then the like muted medium brown. And I want to do that because one is very red and one is not, so it like kind of balance each other, but I get that depth. This is the e.l.f. contour brush, and I'm going to draw a V. So this is one part of my V, and this is the other part of the V. I really like you to be close and be able to see every stroke of my brush because I feel like the big YouTubers don't do that. Like everything is so overproduced that they like forget the basics. Like if you don't know how to do an outer V, don't tell me to draw a V out there. Like I want you to show me. So this is like arm 1, this is arm 2, and then I just kind of deepen out that area. And you can see once I blend, it's not like nearly as dramatic, but I think it looks really pretty to do that. And I just darken it till I have it how I want it. I did make it in a little bit more dramatic than my actual eye shape. I carried it outside of the lines of my eye because I wanted it to be seen behind my lashes when I open my eye. Like this area right here, I want you to be able to see that when my eyes are open and not only when they're closed. Just a tiny bit of a difference that, you know, extends the look. Now I'm going to take that same brush and I'm going to go in harder with Volatile, and that's just that muted brown, not the reddish one. And that's what I'm carrying across the eye to the crease. I would call this the lower crease. The first orangey brown I used, I would call that the upper crease / transition area. This I'm going to call the lower crease. It's like almost on the lid, but it's in the crease as well. Like barely up high enough to call the crease. Hope that makes sense. I'm going into the original brush that I used for the transition, and this has that orangey brown. And I'm just re-solidifying that color in the look. Like I said, I want it to look like it's popping and peeking out from behind those berry. And that's going to kind of align the juxtaposition. Like you've got, it's solidifying things. It's got your pinkies, your brownies, and then you got orange. It's like, I'm not sure if this is warm or cool, you know? I think that's interesting. It adds depth and dimension and interest to your eye look. So you can keep blending until you have the like outer V like lighter, or you can darken it up and go back into your shades, however you like your looks. Then I'm going in with the Makeup Geek pencil brush. Marlena like brags that this is the smallest pencil brush on the market. It is itty bitty, as you can see, tiny. I'm going to use Eccentric, that's that orange brown that we used as a transition, and I'm taking that all the way across on the lower lash line. I didn't use pencil liner for this, I just used the eyeshadow. And then I'm going in with that same brush and the shade Passion, that's that very, very dark, like burgundy brown, and I'm only using that on the lower lash line on the outer third underneath the lashes. That's it. Then I'm going in with the Tarte Inner Rim Liner in Lights Camera Lashes. It's the Inner Rim Brightener, and it's basically a nude liner. NYX makes a good one, the Wonder pencil. And I'm pulling down just slightly, lightly, to get that inner rim. Careful to avoid getting it on the lashes because I think it looks so much better, you know, when it's just on the inner rim. It really makes the eye look bigger and removes that redness that we get in the inner part of the eye. Then I'm going in with a clean fluffy brush. This is by Crown as well. It's just a fluffy eyeshadow brush. And I'm going into Incense and Base, and those are like a nice light brown and the cream color. And that's just to blend out the lower lash line a little bit. Like, I'm going lower than the shadows I put under my lower lash line to like lighten it up, help it blend out and fade. That's the word I'm looking for. Transition gracefully rather than being harsh. Now I'm using the Essence eyeliner pen. This is the long-lasting one in 03 Brown. It is a felt tip, in case that matters to you. Very nice point. And I'm going to do a very, very subtle wing. This liner, I'll be honest, is $3. It's not the best. Sometimes I find that it doesn't write really well on top of shadows like the foiled one I just used. I have to do like a second pass. And it doesn't look super brown or super dark, but as you can see in the finished look, it's pretty. It's fine. So I'm going to do a slight wing. I'm going to go up from the lower lashes and draw a line following that. So as if I went following the lower lashes and then just kept going up. Instead of stopping at the outer eye, just keep going. That's kind of how I do my wings. I go, I'm not actually drawing, I'm just following the line. And I close my eye and I just keep going a little bit. Does that make sense? And then I drag that back towards the upper lash line and kind of connect them. And then all I do is, if I don't like it, I can tap my concealer brush, I can use my finger, and I just, you know, try again. There you go. So I'm just going to apply some mascara. I'm using the, this is a really cheap lash curler from the drugstore, and then I'm going to use the Benefit Roller Lash Mascara, and I will be right back. Alright, I wanted to get you close and personal for this part so you guys could see. This is the finished eye look. Doesn't look too dramatic from a distance, you know, you're just kind of like, okay, that's pretty. But when you really get up close, you can see the beautiful like rose gold, and there's a little bit of a glitter, but it's so subtle. It's not like a very sparkly, but hopefully you're catching some of that in the light. So that is it for one look you can do with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette. There are so many different ways you could take this palette. I could have done a deep shade like that burgundy on the lid and brought the mustard color up top. I could do, there are 7 shimmers and 7 mattes, so I could have done pink as a transition. I'm really curious to use this lavender icy shade. It's like a purple. I think that would be very interesting to use. So I mean, you could definitely take this palette in many different directions. I recommend it. The quality is great. I got no fallout under my eyes, and I did not use a glitter glue or anything like that, even though there were tiny little glitter particles, more like shimmer, foiled shimmer, not glitter. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you guys later.